Hello, how's it going? I'm looking at, I got a new laptop from work and I don't know if I like the picture as much on this on this webcam. Looks a little bit dark. So I am back. Obviously, I apologize. I was quite tied up for the last few days. A lot of flying back and forth and activity in between, and now I'm getting ready for a wedding in 2 weeks, but that's okay. We're going to talk about this assessment, and I'm going to get in and I'm going to try to do some grading. If not tonight, then for sure tomorrow, and get myself caught up on discussions and grading and that sort of thing. So I wanted to talk about the organizational change paper just a little bit. Now, if you are in a position in university, you can base your paper on that. If you're not, if you're a student, you can identify, well, you're all students, you can identify it on something that you think or you believe needs to change, right? So what we're talking about is having a problem or identifying a problem that, and hopefully this is something that actually you can use in your life. You can actually identify a problem that you have some control over and to develop basically a change process for it. The best place to look is if you go to the assessment tab on the left menu on Blackboard, there's an assessment/rubric organizational change paper document that outlines it. So I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm looking for, okay? So identify a process or a programmatic issue, something that warrants change in any unit within higher education. So it could be at the presidential level, could be at the department level, whatever it might be. And you're going to identify the unit or where the problem exists within the institution and describe the context. You don't necessarily have to name the school, but describe the context. Like it's this kind of a school, this size, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to develop a problem statement, which is identifying why the change is necessary. Who is it going to affect? Think of all the constituencies from students to staff to faculty that might be impacted by the change. What improvement would you expect to see as a result of that change? Then you're going to want to list what are your objectives or your purpose for the change, and you're going to want to have something, 2 or 3 very specific outcomes that you expect, and something that you can actually measure. Then an implementation plan, including a time frame for that plan. And now keep in mind too, if you're doing an implementation plan and your plan involves something that might be a budgetary change, like if it's an addition of staff in order to accomplish something, then you're going to have to somehow justify how or where the adjustment for that financial change is going to occur, whose budget it's going to come out of, and how maybe you're going to get the buy-in or the ability to add that budget or justify the add to the budget. And then develop a method of evaluating post-change. So how are you going to look back and say, yes, this was successful, or no, it wasn't successful? Now, the important part of number 5 is that you did number 3 right, and that your objectives that you stated are measurable, right? So if you're doing a plan to say, let's say you have poor student morale, you know, within a program of some kind, and you're going to make a plan to improve student morale by implementing a program or whatever, what are the objectives going to be? An objective might be, right, you want to improve overall student morale. So how are you going to evaluate whether student morale has improved or not? Well, you'd have to do something to assess their morale before the change and after the change to compare. Okay, it does say, you know, 4 to 6 pages in length. I don't really care about paper length. I just care that you're really covering the topics. That's not a metric that I use to grade by is the exact length. Even, you know, I think it's right there in the rubric, right after I said that. That's because I didn't write the rubric. But that's what we're looking for. So let me know if you have any questions about it. I think it should be pretty self-explanatory. I've done this in another section of the class, and the students actually found it to be a really useful, helpful assessment. So there you go. Good luck. And again, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.